California's Medical Marijuana Regulation and Safety Act. 2 is an ordinance amending the municipal code medical cannabis cultivation facility permits to align with California's Medical Marijuana Regulation and Safety Act. 3, an ordinance amending the master fee schedule to modify and establish permit application and annual regulatory fees for the city's licensed medical cannabis facilities. And 4 is a resolution authorizing the city administrator to transfer $400,000 of medical cannabis cooperative project funds within the general purpose fund from the office of the city administrator to the fire department and planning and building departments. I have 47 speakers.
Members of the council, would you care to have a report? All right. Madam City Clerk, would you please call the public speakers?
Or, do we have a handout?
As I call your name, please approach the podium in any order. State your name for the record. Alex Zavel, Debbie Goldsberry, Mickey Martin, Amber Centers, Zoe Schreiber, James Anthony, Derlista Rose Reed, Amanda Ryman, Catherine Parker, Jake Sassaman, Rose Gordon, Andrea Unsworth, Paul Simonian, Misty Sassaman, Lisa Calderon, Matt Hummel, Mallory Holt. I'll pause there.
Thank you again. We'll go with the with our honor roll. I think, is Mr. Hummel here? Is that you?
Yes.
Mr. Hummel?
Yes.
All right, great. So, do you have time seated to you, sir? I understand that you helped.
I was understood that I could do a report.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you. Is the mic on? Okay. Hello, my name is Matt Hummel. I'm the chair of the City of Oakland's Cannabis Regulatory Commission. Good evening, Council President McElhenney and members of the council. Thank you for your time on this important subject. I think you should vote yes, but without the Brooks Amendment. I'll explain why. But first, I would like to remind everyone of the history around cannabis permits in Oakland for a little context. We are proud to be among the first cities in the world to stand up to cannabis prohibition and the racist drug war by permitting, taxing, and regulating dispensaries and through the passage of Measure Z. Governments have been following our lead ever since. But what came next wasn't so good. The city's first attempt at grow permits disregarded all small businesses. Only the wealthy, the well-connected, or the well-corrupt ended up able to fight over a few golden tickets. With it, though, a new gold rush mentality with stadium-sized grow operations came, leading to California losing Prop 19. It encouraged people like Dar Man in their wild schemes. It was so corrupt, the Fed stepped in and threatened to arrest council members if the permitting process didn't end. A few years passed, and the outgoing mayor gave the giveaway another try. This time, there was no lottery to win, no fighting for golden tickets. The winners were already in place. Only a lucky few dispensaries got all the permits, and everyone else was left to dry. But not so fast. This time around, the Public Safety Committee agreed with the people and said no to a rigged system. Instead, tasked my commission with staff to create an equitable and inclusive document that took into account the drug war and whom it was waged upon. A document that could be a model legislation. This is what you have in front of you now. We took this task seriously. For well over a year, during public hearings, every detail was gone over with social justice in mind. We created an open system with many opportunities and low barriers to entry. The council member is correct about the injustices of the drug war, but unfortunately, she is incorrect in her assessment that we didn't make social justice our first priority. To add an off-the-cuff amendment at the last minute without public discussion is bad enough. But this last-minute addition is unfortunately full of unintended consequences. It will lock anyone who gets one of those permits to a second-class status, with a business that is worth far less by limiting who they are allowed to sell it to, therefore forcing the second-class permitters to work for years behind the counter or under the lights while everyone else is allowed to cash out. It also locks these second-class permit owners to the flats. They aren't allowed to move. Dreams of one day living up in Montclair don't get one of those permits. The additional amendment turns model legislation into something that is far from ideal. Across America, Legislation is being planned again following what Oakland has tried to do in the past. Unfortunately, that legislation amounts to monopoly giveaways for lobbyists and special interests. This is our chance to do the right thing again and to be a good example to the world. Please vote to pass this model legislation that is in front of you tonight, written with the support and help of the public without the additional language. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hummel, and I want to acknowledge the work that you have put into this and the commission. I know that you all have worked for about a year working through all of these issues, and I want to appreciate that you all have put in that time and have worked diligently with the staff, and know that we're all working to get it right. Even as we lead the nation in this, there are all of the equity issues, and I know that we'll all be better supported when our Department of Race and Equity is up fully working. So thank you so much for your time. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Madam President and Oakland City Council members. My name is Dorlista Reed, and I'm a former City Oakland Public Safety Coordinator. I grew up in Oakland, and I've been a resident for over 35 years. I'm here to support and commend Councilmember Brooks and the Public Safety Committee's groundbreaking amendment to the City of Oakland's Cannabis Ordinance. When I was Public Safety Coordinator, we focused on gangs, drugs, and youth violence prevention programs and services here in Oakland. This amendment specifically makes provisions for the inclusion of low-income and multicultural participation in the emerging medicinal cannabis industry and at the grassroots community level if the details are worked out correctly. It also makes provisions for job creation and development in our high crime areas impacted by the destructive war on drugs, and creates the possibility for legitimate jobs instead of the underground economy, which fuels gang violence activity. Oakland should expand the local medical cannabis industry to include seniors and the disabled and others in high crime and medically needed and impacted areas in the deprived locations in Oakland. This amendment provides for the direct community development opportunities in these impacted areas. And I should mention it will generate millions of potential revenue for our local economy. We should not accept trickle-down community benefit. Business ownership and equity is essential to our future community development. To quote James Brown, I don't want nobody to give me nothing, just open up the door and I'll get it myself. I also want to, since I have a little time, to bring up the issues from many of my colleagues who are very adamant about the inclusion of home-based and local individual cultivation in whatever goes forward in Oakland. That's where the industry is, through the collective system and the small grower and the home grower and edible and topical and medical makers and the individual cultivation. And I personally support cultivation through therapeutic gardening and an inclusion of people to learn how to grow their own medicines.
Thank you.
And so we should create opportunities for that also. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.